Now that Deep Throat has a name and a face, he also has some tough critics. All of Washington was talking today about former FBI executive W. Mark Felt, and much of the reaction was not positive. Fox's James Rosen has the story.
The revelation that 91-year-old Mark Felt was Deep Throat, the mysterious Watergate-era source for Washington Post reporter Bob Woodward, drew reaction today from all levels of American politics and government, starting with one of Richard Nixon's successors as president, who, in a meeting with South Africa's president, declined to say whether Felt was a hero.
It was a revelation that caught me by surprise. And I thought it was very interesting. I'm looking forward to reading about him.
Surviving Nixon aides also weighed in, from his architect of foreign policy.
I have always believed and continue to believe that there was not one Deep Throat, and I suppose Mark Felt was one of several sources that were put into a composite portrait.
To Nixon's chief of staff, Alexander Haig, who argued officials must remain loyal to their president.
And if you can't, for whatever your reasons, then you have an obligation to resign and take necessary steps within your power to deal with the problem.
Gordon Liddy, the former FBI agent who conceived the Watergate break-in, spoke about the obligations attendant on FBI men who learn about criminal activity.
What you are ethically bound to do is to go to a grand jury and seek an indictment, not to selectively leak it to a single news source.
Even Bernard Barker, one of the original Watergate burglars, now 87, came forward to condemn Felt as, quote-unquote, human excrement.
No, he goes and sneaks away and talks to the press. I say, the man has no honor.
The truth is, I can't figure out what we've got.
On the big screen, Post editor Ben Bradley, portrayed by the late Jason Robards, worried whether Woodward and his partner Carl Bernstein had their facts straight. Today, Bradley spoke in terms of closure.
I mean, you know, this is it's the end of a story. One part of it, the last part of it, really.
But questions remain. Among them, could Mark Felt have known all that Woodward attributed to him? One key tip from November 1973 was that Nixon's tapes had a gap created by a deliberate erasure. Yet only a handful of Nixon aides knew this, and Felt had already left the FBI by that time. Deep Throat also claimed John Mitchell, Nixon's campaign manager, got help investigating the origins of the Watergate break-in from E. Howard Hunt. But Hunt was a conspirator in the break-in who never met John Mitchell.
There was no single person in the Nixon administration who knew all the things that Woodward attributed to Deep Throat. Those few people who knew about the 18-and-a-half-minute gap did not know about other aspects that were reported in the Washington Post.
Perhaps the most basic question that remains is, how did Bob Woodward and Mark Felt actually know each other? All the president's men tells us they were, quote, old friends who spent many evenings talking about politics, quote, long before Watergate. But Woodward was a police reporter, not a political reporter at the time, and he had only been at the Post for 9 months when Watergate broke. Prior to that, he worked for the Montgomery County Sentinel, hardly the kind of outlet whose reporters typically enjoy access to the #2 man at the FBI. In Washington, James Rosen, Fox News.